Nice to see you today, Stephen. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, yes. A bit end of the weekish, you know what it's like.
Indeed. So today we're really keen to hear about Pimento and what you've been up to, really to tell your journey through COVID and beyond. So let's kick off just by saying, what is Pimento and what's its purpose?
So Pimento is a virtual agency network. It's some 16 years young. We are both a network, but also we're an agency. So we aspire to pull together from our member network of just over 200 members, 5,500 people, bespoke teams on behalf of clients, identify their requirements, pull on that resource and create bespoke teams. And equally too, we are a referral membership organisation, so that when briefs come in from clients or indeed other members are looking to work with other agencies, we're able to basically refer business to each other and vice versa. It's a collaboration of only independent agencies and consultants. We don't work with any of the groups. And it was very new 16 years ago, and it's refreshingly modern today. So it's evolved over time.
Great stuff. So rolling back the clock back to mid-March, when rumours of COVID-19 pandemic started to circulate, what was your initial reaction? How did you feel?
My initial reaction was actually to think about our members and to wonder how we were going to cope through what seemed to be an awful long time, and how we will continue to be able to service both our members and our clients. I was worried to the extent that a lot of the people who we were working with at the time weren't used to working in the way that we always have. I mean, we've been virtual from day one. We've never had an office. We've always orientated and worked ourselves from home or from clubs in London, wherever it happens to be, or Manchester or Liverpool, Leeds. We've never felt the need to have an office. So we've used and put tech at the heart of what we do. And we communicate, as we are today, via Zoom. And we're doing that for COVID. So to that extent, I wasn't worried about our ability to actually communicate, but I was worried about our ability to actually press the flesh. And being a network organisation, we are about our members, and it's about the personalities of that membership, about understanding their businesses, their needs and their requirements. And up to now, we've done that through physical meetings. So we had been running 25 events across the UK a year. Those events varied enormously in size and objective. We have a thing called the 6 PM Club, which is our regular networking event. And we had to find new ways to actually get our members together. We equally had to recognise that they were all going through different pain points. Some of them needed support, financial nature. Others needed advice on what to do from an HR point of view. Others needed to understand government schemes that were in place and actually how they could be supported in order to qualify for those. So that meant us getting together with our professional service members. We have a number of those from the legal, financial, M&A space and HR space. And the very first thing we did was to set up a series of calls with all our membership to get them enrolled, and those were very successful. Very quickly we were getting up to 100 people on an individual call. We also decided to partner up with other member organisations so that we could share content and share expertise. So we got together with the MAAG and also the PLCA, and we cross-promoted all of their events too. So it meant that we didn't have to basically produce similar material. It meant that all of our members and their members could actually come to any of our events. We very quickly also looked at our membership payment and made it easier for people to be able to adjust how they pay Pimento. So we moved to a direct debit model. Wherever we were able to, extended credit terms. We had to, unfortunately, like everybody else, furlough a couple of our team members, which was something I didn't want to do, but it made financial sense to do it at the time. Because all of our team already work flexibly and many of them work from home, as I say, it wasn't so difficult for them personally. Obviously, it meant a reduction in their income, but we've been able to pick up on that more recently, and they're coming back full time from September, so that's good news. So yeah, there's a whole list of different measures really, but at our heart, we carried on as we already had done. We just basically made a virtue out of being virtual and got online, listened. We surveyed all our members, and got to listen to what they wanted, and then tailored our proposition accordingly. And just
it sounds like a very collaborative approach, which has been the flavour of a lot of leadership teams I've been talking to, that felt like the right way forward. Yeah. What, if you could be really honest, what didn't work quite so well in hindsight, if you could roll back the clock again and do things differently? Is there anything that you perhaps would have done differently?
I think that it was very difficult, wasn't it, to kind of be, without the data in front. I mean, we've had, what's quite interesting over the period is that we are about 25% up on membership, new memberships, than we were on the same period last year. Second quarter, which is kind of the COVID quarter, if you like, our revenues were 30% more than the previous 3 years. So we had a remarkably good period where we attracted a lot of new clients. I think we picked up 6 new pieces of business for Pimento as an agency. The appeal of Pimento became more apparent, I think, to clients, as they recognised that having furloughed lots of their own team and their own staff, they still needed to do work. And we were able to basically fill the gaps and able to actually take on projects in particular for not just domestic pieces of business, we had a couple of international pieces of business, which we pitched and won for on Zoom. So that was quite a new experience. In terms of things that we could have done better, I think just what you have to do in any situation like this is you have to listen to your members. You need to find out exactly what they're going through. You need to build flexibility into your business model. You need to just talk. It's really important to communicate. Communicate with your own people, with your members and your clients. I mean, it was striking to me that how some of the larger agencies, they were clearly, first and foremost, fixated on actually making sure their people are okay, and that's absolutely right. But they didn't put the same energy and resource into their clients. And literally, people got furloughed off teams, clients, whole teams sometimes basically were furloughed, and they weren't even aware. So they were paying retainers to an agency, and suddenly they had no team to look after their business. And they really needed their agency at that time, and they couldn't be found. So I think that there are clearly lessons that agencies need to learn from this, and there are clearly lessons that all of us, I think, should learn. The one that's most important to me is about communication. Mm-hmm. Over communicate in a situation like this. We've tried to reach out to everyone on a regular basis. We've sought their feedback on any issue. We've been through a lot, as everybody has over this period. It's not just been COVID, has it? We've seen massive changes into respect, how people basically treat each other, to equality, to all sorts of different things which have happened through COVID. And I see it as very positive things. I think it's been a moment in time when the world's been able to stop and actually appraise what they do, both personally and professionally. And I think that purpose, and I think that rights, and I think equality, and I think other social issues and other environmental issues are now more on the agenda than they were prior to COVID. So it's been a moment in time, hasn't it? And while we talk about the new normal, which is a hackneyed expression already, or as we call it, the new different, there are going to be significant shifts, and there are going to be changes in the way in which people operate and engage with each other. I found myself really enjoying the COVID period, if I'm honest with you, because it allowed me to spend more time at home with my family, but equally, with no travelling into town. But equally too, I just enjoyed the environment of actually just being able to go outside and go on a walk, and actually the air smelled cleaner. Everything was brighter, and I'm not sure I want to go back from that situation. I've really enjoyed that side of it.
Yeah, there have been some positives, and we probably are both in very fortunate situations in that we have space and ability to work remotely and happily. So what about your members? How do you feel they reacted to the changes you implemented? You talked about membership going up, which is obviously a positive sign, and existing members and the feedback that you sought. What kind of reaction have you been having from members?
Largely positive, because what we've also been able to do is share out more business in the period. So projects that we have done have involved a large number of members from the organisation. Something like 25% of all our members have had a brief in the last 3 months. Many more have had the opportunity to pitch for business. We've been able to actually support them in ways that perhaps they'd never anticipated that actually they'd get support from Pimento. People join us for very different reasons. Some join us because of the opportunity to collaborate and work with other like-minded individuals and professionals. Others do it because they want to be able to extend their services and they want to try and capture more revenue from their existing clients. Others join because they like the idea of being in an environment where they can learn from each other, particularly our consultants, because it can be quite lonely being a consultant. And of course, ultimately, everybody wants to grow their business, so it's important for them to find ways in which they can collaborate and get the opportunities for new business. But sometimes it can also be about improving processes or reducing their costs. I mean, we've just launched a survey amongst all of our members to understand what their intent is when it comes to property. Are they looking where they have got property to move back into their property, or how are they going to structure their property requirements going forward? Are they giving up leases? If they own property, they're looking to sublet. And what's quite interesting is the thinking behind that particular survey and the work that we'll do with members is to try and find ways to reduce their costs. The next phase of COVID is going to be obviously a recession, a recession-based COVID environment. Well, it'd be doubly difficult to deal with that. We've also obviously got Brexit to consider too. So there's a lot more change to come. And therefore, I think having much more flexible resource, finding ways to collaborate over fixed costs, both in terms of office space, but equally to talent. One of our appeals to agencies at the moment is that if you have to reduce the size of your agency, if you have to let people go, don't let them go. Refer them to Pimento and Pimento people, and we will do our very, very best to find jobs for those people. Or they can enter into our loan scheme where they can put talent out on loan and we'll cover 75 to 80% of their overhead, a bit like a professional football player, and we can put them into another agency environment for a defined period of time, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it happens to be. And they can agree to extend that and go into extra time, or they can agree to actually do a transfer. And actually, I think that sort of thing is quite appealing for agencies. Sharing talent. If you can't afford to retain a full-time new business director, well, why not actually share that resource with another agency in a non-competitive space? Media agency shares that talent with advertising agency, for example. So these sorts of things, looking at business a little bit differently, recognizing that we are after the same thing. We do need, support. We do need help. Cash is going to be tight for the next, for the foreseeable future. I think it's going to be tight. But in a shrinking market, you can grab share, and I think independent agencies and flexible arrangements like this and the Pimento model are really well positioned to capitalize on clients who want that sort of thing. They want flexibility, they want creativity, they want talent, but they can't necessarily afford to pay what they were paying before. And therefore, the bricks and mortar agencies, the big multinationals, they're the ones that basically will lose out.
Interesting stuff. Thanks, Stephen. So just to summarise, what's coming up for Pimento in Q4? And apologies if the police sirens distracted you during the last question.
So right on the beach today, isn't it? So yeah, in Q4 we're resuming our weekly campaigns of our COVID calls, if you like, and the Zoom calls that we have. They'll start again on the 2nd of September. Just taking 2 weeks break now. We're going to hear from marketing directors as to what they want from agencies. So we've got 3 leading marketing directors who'll be talking to us about their requirements. We're going to be looking at procurement and how that's changed with Tina Fegan over the period, and in the virtual world, do the rules of procurement still stand? We're sponsoring the VMC, which is the Visual Media Conference in September, which normally would take place in Leeds. This time it's a virtual event, and we'll be announcing a headline speaker for that particular event. And Pimento will also be doing a series of sort of networking sessions where we actually get half a dozen members that have never met each other together in a breakout room, and we'll be hosting those. We're going to have an update for the associations in the autumn. We had them on a few weeks ago, and they made various promises, two of which I think are essential for the recession. One was about actually how can we train people better? How can we actually amalgamate all our various different training schemes and make those available on a single platform for talent? And secondly, how do we get talent back into work? So those are the two things that I'll be pressing on. We're also going to be hearing from 3 of our PR agencies on communicating in the crisis, and from both a consumer point of view, from a corporate point of view, and also from a crisis management point of view. We've got the president and managing director of Celebrity Cruises. If you think of any particular business that's probably more at sea, no pun intended, than the cruise industry, she's going to be telling us about what they are doing to get people back onto cruises and so on. So that'll be interesting. We've got the head of marketing from Visa. She's coming to talk to us about changing consumer habits, and obviously how people have obviously accelerated digital and the impact on Visa and its business, and also its mantra about driving more people onto the high street. So, plenty of things happening in terms of the campaigns and the work around keeping our members up to date. We'll still continue to make that available to members and non-members, and we'll still continue to collaborate with the MAAG and the PRCA. We've got some big news in September about a launch of a new association, which we're going to be very actively involved in, which I think is quite exciting. We're continuing to chase down new business ourselves and drive business into the network with an outbound campaign. We're doing the same, obviously, in terms of growing our membership and trying to fill gaps across the UK where we have them, and making sure that we've got strength and depth when it comes to membership. And we're also trying to find time to have a bit of fun. We're launching a thing called netwalking, which is where you get bubbles of 6 people together who from different agency worlds, and one of our partner directors. And there's 2 events this month, which involve basically, I think, people walking from Bath station to a well-known pub about 4 miles away, and then back again, and having lunch up there and getting to know each other better in a safe environment. So we're doing a bit of networking. And I hope to be able to get the new 6 p.m. clubs up and running. So we're going to go virtual with the 6 p.m. club, and we've got 5 events organised in the autumn with leading agencies hosting those. And the invitations again will be to both Pimento members and those people interested in becoming part of a membership. And beyond that, we've got a stack of new business. So we've got new projects for organisations like Springer Nature, which is one of the leaders in global publishing, academic publishing. We're working with, oddly enough, the association that represents global publishers, STM. We've got 3 new financial services clients, which we're launching new brands for. So yeah, lots going on. Never a dull moment. And hopefully I'll get the opportunity to get away from my computer now and again.
Well, that's an extraordinary Q4 coming up, Stephen. Amazing. And just wonderful how you have pivoted, using the P word, the membership organisation from March to here we are in August, September. So congratulations. And thank you very much for your time today, and look forward to seeing you at the next 6 p.m. club.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And if there's anything else you'd like to follow up on, or any other questions you've got, then please do drop me a line.
Wonderful. Thank you.